There's a beautiful parable, if I may say it. It's a bit of a guiding light about Michelangelo, and he's in his studio and he's carving an angel, and the patrons come in and they say, "You're making an angel," and he goes, "No, I'm just taking away the bits that are not the angel." And I think the retreat is another experience, and a deeper experience, of taking away the parts that are not us. So all the parts of our conditioning that we've interjected. So for me, the retreat is really about liberation.
The origins of the Hoffman process in combination with the advanced training, the retreat, really comes from our joint efforts that Jutka and myself have worked together for many years on the process. We came up with the idea, because the process, the first part of the process, is like an initiation rite. It's really the original hero's journey, and yet there's so much more. And so we really wanted to find another vehicle to help people expand deeper into their own essence.
Yeah, that's right. We really appreciate the incredible work that people do in the 6.5-day process, and we wanted to build on that. So we wanted to look not just at mum and dad, but we really wanted to bring forward all those parts of us that are now still creating problems. And we understand that there are lots of patterns that we do within the first program, but we wanted to nail it to the really big Achilles heel that we all live with. And that takes a lot of work over many years. And so we designed the retreat as kind of the next level of the work for people.
Because let's face it, these days we're so enamored of our productivity. We get rewarded in society for productivity, which is not a bad thing. However, what's also really needed is for people to find a place where they can come back to themselves and to come back into more being and reassess what's actually really within, what are my intrinsic values from which I want to really lead my life by. And so the Hoffman process, the first one, really initiates that inquiry. So where the retreat then places the self, particularly our character, much more into the center point, right? So, because what we do in the retreat is not only reviewing what our patterns are, but we're also looking at the motivations of behaviors. And that is an important inquiry, because unless we also understand why we do what we do and how we do what we do, unless we do that, we never really know what are actually our emotional needs that we need to address. And once we understand our emotional needs, that's when we can really bring about a new level of change.
I think that what we've noticed so much is that people want to belong. But they want to belong in a very authentic way. And we hear these terms bandied around, and very few of us kind of really understand what that means. And what we want is to offer people an opportunity to explore who wants to belong. What part of you is true? And if that part was able to make the choices for your life, what would they choose? What would that part of you choose? So some of the elements of the retreat, obviously we pick it up from the process so that a lot of the languaging is familiar, but we take it to the next level. So we have a whole lot of different dynamic meditations that we introduce clients to, and we also introduce clients to the Enneagram, which is a vast system that all the facilitators use to inform their knowledge around clients in Hoffman, in the first Hoffman, but we now teach it to our clients at the retreat. And then we do constellation work as well. So a lot of the processes are quite different.
In Hoffman 1, one of the foundational concepts is the quadrinity model. So where we look at the 4 different aspects of the self, the emotional self, the intellect, the the spiritual self and the body. So where we refer to as the emotional self and the intellect as the duality and the conditioned personality. So through the lens of the Enneagram in the retreat, we deepen that understanding between the interplay between the emotional child and the intellect. So there is once again a body of knowledge there that we impart. However, we also combine it, as it is in the Hoffman process, with a whole bunch of experiential work and corrective experiences. And I think that's what really makes the difference, that wherever our shadow resides, the aspects of ourselves that for whatever reasons we have not been able to express fully. So the retreat also offers for participants to move into those areas that have been unexpressed. And once we can express the things that have been suppressed or even neglected, that's when our own energetic field starts to get balanced. And once our energetic field is more balanced, then our responses, our heart responses to the world, and also our thinking starts to become much more aligned.
One of the things that we do in the process is that we really unearth this diamond that we all are. I think what we do in the retreat is not only polish the diamond, but actually see that we are living amongst many diamonds and how we relate. And so it's an interpersonal process, and we're impacted by people all the time. And how that, inauthentic self in us still gets reactive under stress. And what are the patterns in the interpersonal that we need to look at? And what are the patterns in our relationships that are so vital for us? And so it's a very much more kind of a relational piece as well as an introspective piece. It broadens the whole thing right out. We go deep and we go broad. Every pattern has an unmet need. And it may not be appropriate, but it's unmet, and we have to find a way to bring it into kindness and resolution without feeling like it's barren and shameful. We also have particular attributes or virtues or gifts, and we want people to understand what their particular gift is and to move toward that with grace. Not to form an identity around that, because we're so full of identities in our current world, but actually to just open to the natural gifts inside of us and to live from that place.
Beautiful. And that's really what life is all about. It's about really honoring our own gifts and to be able to give that an expression and find a vehicle in existence to live into it.
One of the things that is wonderful, well, particularly for us, about working on the retreat, is that graduates come, and the minute they step into the room, they kind of pick up where they left off from. And we're working with a highly motivated, sophisticated group of people that are really wanting to liberate themselves into living from their true self, not their conditioned self. And that is an absolute joy to be in, and it makes the work rich and to be part of.